Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the review of the Huawei Honor View 20. This was the very first phone from Huawei which had a cutout for the selfie camera. Now it was launched in December 2018, it's still pretty fresh and is priced around $500 right now, which is a bit of a bargain because it has the same flagship CPU as the Huawei P30 Pro. So this device is actually interesting because it brings a set of stereo time-of-flight cameras plus a big 48 megapixel sensor here and basically a flagship CPU and also a flagship design. So let's get straight to it. Let's talk about the design first and foremost. We're dealing with quite a big phone, and when I say big I mean a 6.4 incher, and it's made of glass and metal. Obviously there is glass at the front, not hugely curved, glass at the back, gently curved on the sides, and with a very nice V-shaped effect that happens vertically. As you can see, those V's descending all the way to the device. It draws a bit of fingerprints, but on account of the effects you will not be able to see them. It also draws grease, but once again not a problem. Pretty good grip overall. It's a pretty wide and long phone, but I managed to wield it with a single hand with ease, and that's always a plus. Now if you want measurements, 8.1 millimeters in thickness and 180 grams is pretty okay in my view. Made of glass and aluminum, comfy, grippy, pretty wide but nice looking. I find the bezels to be a bit big, seeing the fact that we don't have a notch, and I also find the edges of the cutout for the camera a bit too big and annoying, especially if you look at the cutout in the screen protection. That's a bit too big around the camera, but it may just be me nitpicking at the phone. Aside from this beautiful blue hue, there's also a special phantom red and a partnership with the fashion brand Moschino to deliver a special fashion version of the device. Overall I'm pretty charmed by the design, and let's go to the display. This is a 6.4 inch panel IPS LCD with a resolution of 2310 over 1080 pixels. It's got big-ish bezels, and I think it's time to go to the actual viewing experience, which usually involves our test video. Okay, so that's what the video looks like. As you can see, it's been cut from here to camouflage the camera hole. The colors are pretty well calibrated, and aside from that we also have a pretty decent level of brightness, wide view angles, but of course the blacks aren't as deep and as black as they are on the OLED panels out there. The contrast was rather mid-level, I would say, when it comes to viewing stuff on the screen in the sunlight. The reds feel a bit too red. That's something else that I noticed. Anyways, we did a bunch of tests and let's see what came out of those. First of all, this is the screen under the microscope. This is the RGB stripes pixel arrangement. And then we go further, we measure the brightness, achieving a top level of, let's see it here, 399 lux units. That's what we achieved on this phone. Now with this value here, I would say it's okay. Usually everything around 400 lux is okay. It beats the Pocophone F1, the HTC U12 Plus, but it scores below the Samsung Galaxy S10e and the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, and it also scores below the Huawei P30 Pro, just in case you were wondering. Luckily we have quite a few settings to tweak for the very same screen. You go here, you got your brightness, you also got your color mode and temperature. You can set it to normal or vivid depending on your preference, and even choose a color from this palette here. Eye comfort, screen resolution, text and display size, everything is available here, plus a simple mode for beginners in the world of smartphones. A pretty okay display, but definitely not memorable, at least for me. And by the way, if you really want to, you can also hide the notch. You should be able to find it here somewhere. Notch, hide it like this, and it's gone. Okay, so we move past the screen and we find a familiar face, the Kirin 980 processor. I saw it on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, on the P30 Pro. There's also 8 GB of RAM here and 256 GB of storage, and there's also no trace of micro SD card slot or nano card slot for that matter. Okay, so obviously this phone is able to run any game you can imagine. It's got a flagship CPU, it can run Asphalt 9, it can run Fortnite, it can run PUBG Mobile, it can run Free Fire, Creative Destruction, and the recently launched Cyber Hunter, and of course we're playing Riptide GP Renegade. We can turn the graphics all the way to the max and enjoy the experience on the device. Here we go, quick race, and we're doing a demo. Now we also did benchmarks on the device, and I can already spoil it for you. I'm telling you that in Antutu 7 we beat the Razer Phone 2, and that's a gaming phone. We also beat the Google Pixel 3 XL and the Sony Xperia XZ3, but of course we scored below the Huawei P30 Pro, but only by a bit, not by very much. Pretty interesting graphics here, nice frame rate, nice graphics, reflections, aliasing, textures and all that. And I did not forget about the benchmarks, we have them here. Let's check those out. Okay, so screenshots, there's a lot of them, as you can well see. And let's try and find Antutu. Nope, this is not Antutu, and this is it. So as I mentioned before, we beat the Razer Phone 2, but we scored below the OnePlus 6T and Galaxy S10 Plus and a little below Huawei P30 Pro. We proceed further to the famous Geekbench 4. We take into account the multi-core subtest. This is actually the 10th placed phone, which is actually not bad. It beats the Huawei P30 Pro, believe it or not, and the Asus ROG phone stays below the iPhone 10 and the Galaxy S10e and S10 Plus. In the graphical department, we're going to rely on Slingshot, and Slingshot is here. With this result, we beat the Huawei P30 Pro, the iPhone XR and the HTC U12 Plus, which stayed below the Galaxy S10 Plus and the Nokia 9 PureView. This is basically top 10, top 15 performance as the time passes, definitely top 15. We also did some measurements that involve the thermometer and temperature. Here we got up to 41.2 degrees Celsius. This one is benchmarking, GFX bench. Pretty close to overheating, but not quite there. It's definitely a push for better results. Gaming was okay, 35.8 degrees Celsius, so no overheating. That's the general conclusion. Now, aside from that, we also did a bunch of heat maps. We have a special robust phone, the rugged Cat X61 phone, which has a special thermal FLIR camera, and that thermal camera showed this Honor phone like this. Pretty good heat dissipation, the only hot point around the fingerprint scanner at the back, nothing to worry about. Speaking of nothing to worry about, inside the phone lies a 4000 mAh battery, which should be enough for general use. This battery also comes with support for 4.5 volt and 5 ampere super charging. Basically 30 minutes means 55% juicing up. On paper you're promised up to 15 hours of video or 130 hours of music. I'm going to leave that aside and go to our actual testing, which involves yet again screenshots. Okay, so as I said before, the wake on time for video playback was 12 hours and 51 minutes, and that's the continuous video playback time. You can definitely do half of the Netflix with ease. It beats the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, Galaxy S9 Plus and the Asus ROG phone, stays below the Galaxy S10 Plus, Huawei P20 Pro and the P30 Pro. At the same time, we did a very famous continuous usage test, the PC Mark, 9 hours and 10 minutes, rather solid, no records were broken, but still pretty good, pretty solid. It beats the Huawei Mate 20 Pro and Nokia 9 PureView, stays below the Galaxy S10 Plus and the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3. Charging is, I would say, decent, 1 hour and 33 minutes, actually long if you really want to compare it to the heavy hitters out there. Anyways, after 1 hour you're at 91%, which is great. Now, in the battery department, you'll definitely find extra options. You got a performance mode, you got a power saving mode, you got an ultra power saving mode. Each one of them will cut from the options of the device. On the acoustics front, those of you expecting stereo speakers will be disappointed. There's a singular one here at the bottom. Luckily, you will not cover it when using the phone in landscape to game or watch videos. And of course, if you're going through the music player, you got your features here. You get your Huawei Hi-Stun. You can show lyrics on the screen, go into a song and activate all of your features. And let's actually go ahead and play some music on the device. Okay, so you just heard it, some conclusions that we're dealing with here. Obviously single speaker, we have like stereo, but we take what we can get. Some vibration of the case of the phone, okay volume, nice bass, all the notes were reached perfectly. So basically it's okay, not record breaking, but I would say reasonably loud. and we also have the benefit of an audio jack here at the top side. Now we have a decibel meter, a special tool that used to measure the power of the speaker and the decibels, and here we go. We have the results here. We start off with 83.9 decibels. Those were achieved with a typical acoustic sample that we always use at the front and the back of the phone. It beats the OnePlus 60 and the Galaxy S10 Plus, stays below the Pocophone F1 and the HTC U12 Plus, also below Huawei P30 Pro. Now, in gaming, things got a bit higher, 99.3 decibels in Riptide GP Renegade. It beats the Huawei Mate 20 Pro and the iPhone XS Max, but stays below the Huawei P30 Pro, Nokia 8 and the Asus ROG phone. Now I guess it's time to move on to the cameras. I'm going to start from the front, from the cutout here. It hosts a selfie camera, 25 megapixel shooter in the screen with HDR and AI. At the back, things are pretty interesting. You can obviously see the LED flash, and here we have the main camera, which is a 48 megapixel shooter with a Sony sensor, and it has the quad bare array system with pixel binding. It combines pixels for a clear and clean 12 megapixel higher quality shot. So 48 megapixels here, and here we have a stereo time of flight camera. Basically there are two sensors here, a stereo setup for improved depth and scanning in infrared and in 3D. It takes 960 frames per second videos. You can do some 3D modeling, recognize 1500 scenarios, and if you hook up the device to a special dock, it even recognizes your 3D gaming in front of the TV. You saw the interface in the unboxing. It's a pretty typical camera interface with AI, moving pictures, portrait, 3D panoramas, some cute filters to apply to your face, which you're going to see in the gallery. As usual, we've taken a lot of pics. Sadly, it was a bit of a cloudy day, but still the phone proved itself pretty much. Okay, so here we go. Let's go straight to the gallery. I started off with some nifty shots of the same scenery. I tried out multiple options, so regular shot, HDR shot, and even a crazy detailed one. We took a 48 megapixel shot. That one is called the Ultra AI shot. It's 8000 over 6000 pixels, and you can zoom in till you get sick. There's a lot of stuff to zoom into here, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it on your PC once we publish the text review. Okay, of course, close-ups are flagship worthy. You cannot tell if this is Honor View 20 or the Mate 20 Pro or the P30 Pro, so rest assured, when it comes to details and the close-ups, this is as good as it gets. Okay, so one good thing here, unlike the Huawei P20 Pro, this doesn't mess up the vegetation, so it's pretty well calibrated in colors. Once again, a pretty cloudy day, and even so, the phone held its own. Okay, nicely calibrated sky aside from the vegetation, and this one is a zoom test. Regular distance from this circulation sign. First level of zoom okay, the second one also okay. We start to get some grain here, but still pretty solid for a phone that's lacking the periscope of the P30 Pro. Okay, another good aspect of the phone, aside from the excellent close-ups, is the perception of depth. It has one of the best perception of depths I've seen. This will create excellent macros, excellent bokehs, excellent playful effects all around your gallery. It focuses fast and properly, so that's another big plus, and you should also be able to play with the aperture effects after the shot. Okay, selfies are also part of the equation. We have a large resolution, and I'm reasonably happy with the texture of the face. You can see the pores, the beard, the hair. You can see actually every thread of hair if you really want to. The brightness is okay. Not going very crazy about the filters you can apply, like this one here, the blinds or the bubbles. The cutout of the face, as you can see, not perfect, not as good as I've seen on maybe the Mate 20 Pro or even some of the iPhones. And here we are again with some colors. I will say again, well calibrated, excellent clarity, truly feels like a flagship, and that's a big plus. Once again, a close-up, excellent cropping all around it to create the depth effect. Okay, and I actually wanted to do something different. I used the back camera for a proper portrait. Keep in mind that the actual portrait is activated when it detects a face. No face, no proper portrait. These are some of the playful effects. They're for teens, for young people. Not a big fan of them myself, and I found that my face wasn't very focused in those portrait shots, so could have been a bit better. I've seen better bokehs on other phones. In general, I was impressed with the colors, details, the clarity, and finally we have a Honor phone that doesn't burn the vegetation like the Huawei P20 Pro did, and that's a relief. Those are daytime shots. I'm pretty happy with them. And now we go to the low light, where things were also pretty good. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Now we have some elongated halos here and there. You can see them going up from here, but in general I was happy with the color calibration and the brightness. Not the brightest phone around, considering we're getting the f1.8 aperture here, decent level of zoom, and there were times when the colors felt a bit like painting. It's a bit like you were painting with some fresh water and some fresh color. The flash was pretty decent, not overly white. Here we go again with some shots, decent level of details in the ground area, and you can see the water droplets here and there, which is a big plus. I'm not very sure if it's actually the proper calibration. Sometimes the photos look too good, but on this shot at least, it actually managed to hold its own against this logo here, which has baffled many flagships. It handles this as well as the Huawei P30 Pro did, and that's no small feat. Not as bright as some other flagships out there for sure, and the colors are, well, I would say it depends on your preference. I would say these colors are too watercolor for me, too painting like for me, but some people may actually prefer them like that. And check out the droplets in most of the shots. In general, pretty okay for phones that pretend to be mid-range, even though it's basically a flagship. We're very happy with the photos so far, definitely the best Honor phone you can buy, and let's go to the videos. So for the videos I'm going to be employing MX Player Pro. Here we go. We got 10 videos, and I have to say I'm pretty happy with the slow motion. This is the 960 frames per second slow motion, not bad, even though it's only 720p, not bad at all. Of course, on a bigger screen you'll see some of the grain happening here. Okay, we proceed further and we go to this shot here. Of course, I want you to test the stabilization. Pretty nice focus, pretty nice clarity, even though when you're descending steps, the image will tend to flicker a bit. And I would advise you to stay away from Full HD because the 4K shots are really great. Now we're descending stairs. Stabilization, not the best in the world, but also not the worst. I've seen much worse flickers, so it's rather okay if you're aiming for high mid-range. The colors, nicely calibrated, everything is well lit, proper exposure change, proper focus, even the sky is okay. Nice microphone, catching the laughter of children, the chatter of children. I can clearly hear everything that the children are saying. Once again, it was a very cloudy day and the colors are nicely calibrated. And if you stick to 4K, you'll be happy with the results. And even the 60 frames per second videos had nice calibration. Even though the sky was too white, I've seen much worse on the Mate 20 Pro and 60 frames per second videos. So that's actually surprising. That's probably the bigger surprise of the phone, the fact that it can take very solid videos for a Huawei phone. In general, Huawei phones are known for their video quality, even the flagships. And especially the Honor phones were particularly bad at it. Okay, and we have here the test of zoom. We saw some ducks, couldn't resist it, and we started zooming in. Well, not the best in the world for sure, but definitely not one of the worst. Okay, and the selfie video is also definitely happening. This one wasn't as impressive as the backside camera videos. The image vibrates a lot, particularly the background. The face is rendered pretty okay, if not a bit too white. So I would say it checks out and it goes above the condition of a typical Huawei phone. And this is the nighttime video. Not as bad as I was expecting. Yes, I know it vibrates. I know it's not as well stabilized as you have wanted to. The colors are okay. The clarity is decent. And not bad overall. Not bad for a non-flagship. The colors, the lighting. I know the halos are a bit big, but nothing extreme. And this is the zoom. Also not bad. You can even fight the Huawei P30 Pro, which was a bit underwhelming in the video nighttime capture. Okay, so we're generally blown away by the camera, particularly the video aspect. And now we go to the web browser, which is good old Chrome. And for input, we have the Swift key with swipe support. This is gsn1.com, it's our website, and we browsed it with a pretty fast experience, shown also by the benchmarks. Okay, well, we go further to the connectivity. It's everything you can imagine and more. We start off with the audio jack. We got the infrared emitter here at the top. We got the USB Type-C port at the bottom, USB Type-C 3.1 generation 1, just in case you're wondering. Obviously, it's a dual SIM phone with GPS dual band, Galileo, QZSS, Wi-Fi dual band, MIMO, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC as well, and the calls were pretty okay in volume and clarity. We also did a speed test, and let's see what happened there. Okay, so speed test is an app made by Ookla, and they reveal your connectivity prowess. So on Wi-Fi, we achieved 242 megapsecond in download, excellent. 21.4 megapsecond upload, also excellent. 4G, 217 megapsecond downloads, 67.4 megapsecond uploads. We're doing fine. This is flagship worthy for sure. As far as the OS and UI are concerned, well, they're calling it Magic UI, even though if you ask me, it's basically the same as you're getting on the P series. It's very similar to Emotion UI. So the multitasking looks like this, a bunch of windows, and you also have split screen like this, split the screen in two. And let's see what else we have here. We have the scrolling multitasking that way. If you swipe down, you can see the notifications and the quick settings, some of them pretty useful. Screen recorder, wireless projection are also here. If you pinch the home screen, you're going to be treated with options like these: wallpaper, widgets, transitions, and home screen settings. You can tweak the layout and have app suggestions. To the leftmost side of the home screens, you'll have the Google feed, and let's see what else we can find here. Okay, so aside from that, let's talk about the security. We have the fingerprint scanner at the back here. It's very snappy, recognizes the fingerprint in an instant, unlocks the phone, also has several purposes. You can use it to take phone calls, you can use it to take a picture, you can swipe on it to trigger the notification area, and more. And if you go to the settings, there are a lot of options to play with: fingerprint, do not disturb, connectivity, display, sounds, notifications. There's also a storage cleaner, and there's also digital balance, which shows how much time you'll be spending in various apps. And this is security and privacy. We also have face recognition, which works very fast, truly fast. I was actually impressed by it. Not very sure how secure it is. And we also have something like one-hand UI, motion control, voice control, and system navigation. You can actually go with gestures, which you can see here, and they're very similar to the iPhone X ones. Swipe up should be home. This one is back, swipe from the side, and you can also use a swipe to the half of the screen to open up the recents. And I would say that's basically it. We also have the famous knuckle gestures, which I'm always having a hard time pulling off, especially if I'm not sure if they're activated or not. And as far as the apps are concerned, I counted 47 of them. The most useful is this one, the phone manager, with the cleanup stuff, data usage, block numbers, battery drop zone, and a virus scanner, which should be powered by Avast, probably. Themes, music, video, the pre-installed Google native applications. There's also High Care, app gallery, files. There's a health, which monitors your steps, and more. Honor store, tips. There's a party mode to hook up more phones, and of course some tools here, including a smart remote, so you can actually use your infrared emitter and control a bunch of other objects. Anyways, 47 apps, that's a lot, but we have plenty of storage. Anyways, I guess it's time for the verdict. So this is definitely a pretty phone. We have the pros first. So on the pro side, very good looking phone with a solid flagship level performance, or better said, 2018 flagship level performance. Solid battery, pretty decent acoustics, and also pretty nice depth of capture. That's what I noticed on the device. Nice depth of capture. Well calibrated colors in the photos, and also videos. One of the best video capture experience in the Huawei and Honor world. The 4K video is flawless. We have an infrared emitter, we have fast connectivity, and security was rather good in my experience with the fingerprint scanner and the face unlock. Those are the pros. On the cons, the screen is just okay. I mean, it's good and all, nice colors and all. I expected a bit brighter. Not a big fan of this way of notch. The edges of it are a bit too big. The cutout, I mean, not notch. And we have no stereo speakers. We don't have IP68 certification. There's no 4K 60 frames per second video capture. Some vibrations of the image when you're trying to stabilize it, when you're filming and walking around. You saw it before. And basically the same interface, the same tired interface we've been seeing on Huawei phones for about 3 years now. Not a big change. In spite of that, This is the biggest surprise I've had over the past years when it comes to video capture. The last phone that surprised me was the Nokia 7 Plus, which filmed like a god among mid-rangers. This one also films probably the best of all Huawei phones. Even the Huawei P30 Pro has something to be threatened with by this filming, which was a surprise. Wasn't expecting this from this phone. The Honor 10 disappointed me last year. This is definitely a comeback. Honor View 20, if you want proper videos, this is the phone for you. Also nice performance, some solid pictures and loads of details in those 8000 by 6000 pixel shots. It should compete with the Huawei P30 properly and also with the Galaxy S10 without a problem. And in some departments of the camera, it even dares to beat the P30 Pro. The P20 Pro, it beats it for sure, so there's that. And of course, the beautiful design. The best Honor phone ever made so far. That's the conclusion here at gsm.com, and for $500 I would actually buy this instead of other phones with perhaps bigger brands. I would choose this over the Xperia XZ3, I would choose this over the Nokia 9 PureView and a few other phones. This is from gsm.com. Bye bye.